So all week long, when I would find myself in certain social and or societal situations, I made the decision to imagine how the diseased mind of Herbert Mullin would have possibly experienced them. The constant nagging of voices, originating from sources unseen, each with its own devilish scheme in the guise of intended goodwill, each screaming their plans with raw vocal cords hoping to drown out the countless others. Some familiar voices and tones drift to the forefront with demands to prove loyalty and love. But the price to be paid, at least to me, is too astronomical to bear. What I've taken away from this experience is that his existence would have had to have been not only existentially terrifying, but heartbreakingly lonely, with nowhere to go and no one to turn to, except for the voices. The voices still constantly jockeying for front runner and ultimate control. All this runs over and over in my head, and all I wanted was to get a steak quesadilla. Should probably not go back to that specific Taco Bell again.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked.
Boys and girls, how are you?
Hopefully everybody's doing really well in their lives and in their I mean, I guess that's all anybody really has. So hopefully everyone is doing well in life today.
Indeed.
That's right. We only cater to the most rich and famous and fabulous. If you're not one of those three, or, you know what, if you're not at least two of those three, turn off the fucking podcast right now. How dare you?
Oh, and still only if you're stuck in traffic or on the toilet, remember?
We're just going to whittle it down to where there's just one possible person on the planet that could be listening to us that follows our rules.
That way.
It'll happen
that follows our rules.
It'll happen sooner or later.
But still doesn't email us.
Yes, and you also have to be a man named Leslie.
Goodness. Now that is quite the criteria. Fucking, what's the word I'm searching for? Bombshell there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna give a little leeway. I'm gonna say you can either be a man named Leslie or a man named Stacy. Both technically man names. Just saying. So,
starting to bottleneck it.
Hey, Chris, what time is it where you are?
4:30.
4:30 in the afternoon?
It's not late. It's just early.
Oh, okay. We were doing the Spin Doctors thing. Because I was genuinely shocked there for a second that it was 4:30 where you were.
No, hang on. It's actually time to get ill.
Oh.
That's what my phone says.
See, I was going to say it's time to go crazy.
Oh, snap-a-doodles.
On this week's random motherfucking episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
Random, you say? What's random about UFOs, conspiracies, and murders? I ask you, sir.
I mean, nothing. But,
that's right.
But we're cool, awesome guys that we're in the know. And, Melissa doesn't agree with that cool, awesome guy thing right now. She's just picking at her nails and just looking all self-important and hot over there, flipping me off like I don't see it.
Mm-hmm. She knows she's never been a cool, awesome guy before.
Yeah, what Chris said. He said, you've never been a cool, awesome guy before. How would you even know? Ooh, that actually kind of stung. She said, well, neither have you.
That shall not go excused.
Well, I'm pretty sure she meant me, not you. She's always talking about how cool and awesome Chris is, and how she can't wait to pay you to spank our child. It's so weird. It's just like the weirdest weird.
Well, at least two of us are on the right page, or the same page, I should say.
That's right, page 32, which is
it may
where
be the left page. I don't know.
That's where I hid the secret to everlasting life.
Of nymph?
Yeah, it's in the Bible. It's you.
Of manna?
You talk. You gotta convert to Catholicism, and you have to give your life and money to the church, and then after you've led a shitty pauper's life here on Earth, then you get everlasting life in paradise, Chris.
Is that right?
So saith the Kybalion.
The Kybalion said nothing of the sort. However, maybe that cereal box or that fucking Watchtower flyer pamphlet you found at the bus station or some shit, maybe that is what you're thinking of.
God,
But,
Jehovah's Witness is the most jippiest fucking religion ever. It's so sad. You can't have birthdays. You can't celebrate shit. And there's only like 1,000 of them in all of history that are going to get into heaven anyway.
right? And they're littering motherfuckers.
Oh, man. Making me think
I
my
swear.
package is at the house. I'm in the bathroom taking a poop, and now you're sitting there talking about Jesus. Where's my shit from Amazon, motherfucker?
No, I've never heard of a rule of your religion being that you have to litter the planet with your fucking garbage.
Well, I mean,
Regardless of the fact that you're getting some fucking dipshit to pay for that, or excuse me, all of the dipshits to pay for that.
I think that's more of a lazy asshole feature, and not like a thing that it was intended to come with. I don't think in their little weird version of the already very strange Bible, I don't think it says, "And thou shalt throweth thine garbage in the street, thou shalt litter the world with thy refuse, and thou shalt knock on doors before it is socially acceptable."
I don't know. I've never read their version of the good book, so
Have you
I don't
ever
know. It might
read
say
any
that.
version of the good book?
hey, I know enough.
I know a guy.
I have not. I have not. I think maybe I have only read like 5 books in their entirety in my entire life.
I mean, that's honestly not shocking.
The fuck's that supposed to mean?
I mean, it's. I'm not calling
Don't
you
make
dumb
me
or
come
anything.
over
I'm just
there.
saying that
Don't
you
make
just
me.
don't seem like a reader.
I will come over there.
I mean, I've on my own volition read maybe 3 books my whole life, like books that I didn't have to read for fucking school and shit. Where I was
Right.
okay, that's neat. Yeah, maybe 3. So don't feel bad.
Yeah. Well, 3 of the 5 of mine were at least Dragonlance books. Like I read a whole series. The first 3.
I mean, like Anyway,
I can't tell you how long that took me. It probably took me like 2 or 3 years to read those books. But I would read like a chapter or like half a chapter when I'm outside smoking a bowl or something.
well, when you have to sound out all the words before you can say them, it's what?
Fuck you.
Okay.
I read as fast as the conversation would generally take.
I mean, that makes sense.
Fast.
You want to make the dialogue sound like natural dialogue in your head, so that's how you have to
Right.
read it to yourself. I get that completely, absolutely.
Hence the imagination. I don't know how you have any imagination if you're speed reading. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. Melissa can read a 600-page book in like a night and a half, and
Jesus
I'm just
Christ.
like, how do you even enjoy it that way?
Yeah, do
And
you
she's
retain
like, well,
any
the
of it?
same way I enjoy our 2-minute-long sex.
Oh, why you gotta take jokes right out of my mouth?
She's honestly never said that to me, but she is laughing her ass off right now at the fact that I said it.
God damn it! I was like, as you were saying it, it was formulating itself in my brain, and it was about to slip out, but you just like a run-on sentence. You just kept going and fucked the whole thing up.
Yep, that's what she said too. So on tonight's very special Jason's letting way too much slip episode, it is the second.
That's what she said.
The second coming of Herbert Mullin. That's right. The one-hit wonder from the 80s is back, and he's got a new hit, and it's not about a fast car and a bikini. It's about a bikini and a fast car. It goes, I'm Herbert Mullin, bikini, fast car.
Oh, Peter. That's nasty.
It's bad. So, and then, but then we're going to go back to the 70s. We're going to say it's like 1971. 71 or 2. Because I said, you should probably look up the year before you start talking about this. And then I didn't.
Or not.
So it's right around the sweet spot of 70 or 71 or 72.
Yeah, that's what the word "or" is for. God.
Right. So where we left off on a Mr. Herbert Mullin is with his now fully blossomed schizophrenia. His paranoid schizophrenia.
Nutty bar.
Which is when you have like a bunch of voices in your head that are telling you to do shit, but you think that they're all telling you to do shit to you. So you can't trust him. I don't know why he ever listened to him. Maybe he just thought he was a regular schizophrenic and only found out later that he should have been paranoid about it. Not to be trusted. So what is the next step that we take with this? It's just crazy. It's like an AIDS quilt, but it's a guy. Do you get me? You get what I'm saying? There's like little patches of everything that are all quilted together to make this duvet cover of a man named Herbert.
Like Scott bathroom tissue or Downy? Or like, I mean, not Downy, but like, what's the quicker picker upper?
Brawny?
Quilted for her pleasure?
Quilted for her pleasure. That's right. Oh man, we are coming out with some quilted condoms for her pleasure.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, Melissa doesn't like that idea.
I know you like that.
So the next step for Mr. Mullin is to now start acting on his not to start acting, like he's not gonna like join a theater troupe, but he's gonna start acting.
It's the only thing he hasn't done yet.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we don't know. Maybe he had a weird day one day.
Fucking twat.
So he's gonna start to finally act on these super violent impulses, and on these.
He's had enough.
Yeah.
He's putting his proverbial foot down.
And then he's going to pick it up, and then he's going to put his other proverbial foot down, and then he's going to pick it up, and then he's going to put the other proverbial foot down, and that is what we call.
Which one is his penis?
That's what we call preambulating. He's going to start walking toward his final goal, which, as of now, is hopefully a giant white sombrero and a convincing Mexican accent.
That's amazing. And you sure not one of those 3 feet is his penis?
I mean,
are you sure?
Who can be sure about anything ever, Chris?
That's true.
So, on a
real.
A muggy, wet October morning, which was also Friday the 13th, Herbert Mullin had happened across a baseball bat that was kept in his garage and decided to take it with him for a little drive. Earlier in the week, he had been claiming that his dad had been sending him telepathic messages to kill. And I quote, "If I didn't kill, it would bring shame to the family by showing cowardice. It was kill or get out."
You dishonor your family, Herbert.
So, Herbie's dad was telepathically sending him the message, if you don't become a man and start murdering random people, you're gonna have to find your own place to live.
Hey, them Mullins has got a family, lineage, history.
That's
that
right.
Says
To think
Moidas.
about, like if he's going to be a conscientious objector and not go into the military, well then he's got to do his part to continue the legacy of killing other people under the Mullin coat of arms, which is a poop emoji with a samurai sword.
Ooh,
I know, right?
kind of like that.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of going to be rethinking the Rambo coat of arms. So as he drove along,
You want it tattooed on your chest.
as he drove along this little windy road that followed this picturesque little river through the redwoods, he spotted a transient man walking on the side of the road all alone.
Pre-op or post-op?
Both. After he passed him, he pulled his
That
his-
must be a mess.
after he had passed the man up, he pulled his 57. God, son of a bitch! It wasn't that funny, Chris. Stop laughing so I can talk. Go ahead. I'll wait.
No, you're damn right you will.
That is the longest Chris laughter break I've ever had to take on this show, and I am at the same time like really proud and super annoyed.
Allow me to explain real quick. The reason that was so funny to me is because it immediately made me think about the episode of Family Guy where they did the little clip off where I forget exactly what he said, but the clip off was Facts of Life, and Joe walks up to Mrs. What's-Her-Face and asks if it's okay if her penis and her vagina touch, and she goes, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, I don't know. I just woke up this morning and they were kind of together. I mean, I didn't know if that was okay." And she goes, "Hey, you have both?" She goes, "Yeah, doesn't everybody?" She goes, "No." You know the way that lady talks.
Yes, I do, and I really think you need to work on that because I need to hear you do that voice convincingly. I want to think that she's in the room because that's just going to bring me back. Oh, Tootie, whatever happened to you? Drugs, most likely. So after Mullin passes this transient / homeless man on the road, he pulls his 58 Chevy station wagon over to the side and pops the hood, and he pretends to have a little bit of engine trouble. Well, when this man walks up and offers to take a look, this man, by the way, his name was Lawrence Whitey White. So,
Oh goodness.
his name was Lawrence White, but people called him Whitey. Not as like a racial slur kind of thing. He was just,
How do you know?
I mean, okay, it could have been a racial slur kind of thing. I don't know, Chris. You're right. I didn't know his associates. I don't know his associates. And I don't care to know his associates.
No, they may be cool people though.
You know what?
Albeit
They could be
racist.
the coolest people. But they're still homeless people from the 70s. So,
Okay, that's true. Point taken.
so
Continue.
when when Whitey stopped to take a look under the hood, maybe he could help out with the engine stuff. Maybe he was hoping to get like $1 or a sandwich out of it. Mullin, casually walks up behind him, and then mercilessly bashes his fucking brains in with the baseball bat that he brought along.
How did he know what kind of sandwich he wanted?
He wanted
Because I feel like he may have asked for the wrong kind of sandwich.
He shouldn't have said, "Hey, you know what would be fun is if I fix your car, maybe you could buy me a sandwich. But before that, I would like you to make a new hole in the back of my head that I can eat it with."
What if he asked for a hot dog for his butt? And that was...
Chris, no one has ever asked for a hot dog for their butt.
For their bun?
For their butt. Isn't that what you said?
No.
That you wanted a hot dog for your butt?
For your bun. Like B-U-N.
Oh.
Hot dog for your bun.
I thought you wanted to replace your butt with a hot dog.
My goodness, Jason.
I know. How silly of me.
It's not even scientifically possible.
I mean, just because it's not scientifically possible doesn't mean that it's not theoretically possible, Chris.
In some universe, some dimension.
I mean, you most likely would not survive the operation, but the operation, in theory, could be carried out without flaw, aside from your ceasing to exist on our mortal coil.
There may be a whole planet of hot dog butts out there somewhere.
Oh man, a whole planet of hot dog butts? Delicious. Delicious.
I bet in the summertime it smells.
I would finally become an ass eater.
That sounds like slackery to me.
So after Whitey expires from the severe cranial batting practice, Mullin then just pushed his lifeless body down the side of the road and drove off.
Wow.
Mullin later said, and I quote, "Then the ball was rolling." Meaning, hey,
nice.
That wasn't so hard to do. Well, Mr. Whitey White, he was an easy target, and no one missed him. Between his stints in the drunk tank, this 55-year-old homeless man spent his time, sleeping under bridges and in the woods.
But he had a nickname, though. Somebody liked him enough at some point.
Unless, like we said before, it was racially charged. Then
that's true.
So that's the story I'm getting here.
And maybe the evidence right there.
So he was basically a non-human, a blank. He was barely mentioned in the newspapers at all when his body was finally discovered days later. Not a single family member or friend went to his funeral, and absolutely no one was in any kind of a rush to go out and find the person that killed him.
The less dead.
The less dead. It's a shame. Mullin had later claimed that he thought that White looked like Jonah from the Bible, and he was sending him, who he thought was Jonah from the Bible, was sending him a telepathic message saying, hey man, pick me up and throw me over the boat. Kill me so that others will be saved.
You mean he looked like some douchebag artist's rendition of what they imagined a written character to look like?
God, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so hard. I don't personally have any pictures of Whitey White.
No, I mean Jonah. How the fuck would you know what Jonah looked like? You just
just a man with a beard. I'm guessing would be my best guess.
He looked Middle Eastern?
For literally anyone in the Bible ever is just a man with a beard in my head.
Yeah, it's a man with a beard and sandals,
which makes Mary Magdalene a whole lot less sexy. when you really think about it. So, now we move on to Moida and number 2.
Sweet.
Which I have entitled, The Lady Too Cheap to Buy a Car. So, there's like this renowned FBI guy named John Douglas who used the figure of speech. If you want to understand the artist, look at his work. Well, Mullin took that a bit far and thought to himself, well, if you want to understand the artist, recreate his work. So
Gross.
His mother had given him a biography on the artist Michelangelo, the Ninja Turtle that nobody liked.
Good luck with that, Herb.
It's terrible. So after reading this biography,
apologies.
And the name of the biography is The Agony and the Ecstasy.
Nice.
For some reason, I can't.
They were nasty back in the day.
I can't say the word ecstasy without biting my lip and making that sound after it. It's so weird. So after reading this, Herb had decided that if he wanted to be a serious artist, he should do what the famous Renaissance sculptor had done, which is dissect a body.
Opium?
Opium. Well, no. You know what? No, I'm not even going to let that joke slide. That just wasn't Herb's bag, man. You know? He said, well, if he did it, then I should probably do that. So, because, what he, found out was that and this is in quotes here from Herb, Michelangelo spent hours and hours secretly dissecting bodies so he could find out about the form of the human body for his painting and sculpture and stuff. That's why his works are so much better than anyone else's. It gave him insight others didn't have. Well, Herb's mom had given him this book, hoping that he would maybe be inspired to use art as an emotional outlet instead of drugs and violence and such. Her intentions were pure. They just... But what it ended up inspiring was another a brutal murder. And by far, well, not by far, but mostly, it's absolutely the most grisly one that Herb ended up carrying out. And as in a kind of a weird little twist here, because he's always blaming his dad for fucking everything he ever did wrong, for his psychic messages and shit. Well, in this one, he actually blames his mom for the killing, saying that she had given him the book as a hint to dissect someone. He says, I think she was trying to tell me what to do, so I could have this insight as well. So,
Owies.
the unfortunate young lady's name was Mary Guilfoyle. She was running late for a job interview one day, so she did what way too many young ladies did in Santa Cruz at the time, despite all the fucking warnings about, and that is that she decided to hitchhike. And as we all remember,
'twas the times, though.
Edmund Kemper was cutting chicks' heads off and having sex with their bodies at this exact time in this exact fucking city.
That's fucking crazy.
Picking up hitchhikers.
That's so crazy.
And the funny thing is... Yeah?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that the funny thing is that where Herb actually picks Mary up at is literally blocks away from Edmund Kemper's duplex with his mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I wonder if they were like seeing newspaper articles of each other before either one of them was actually caught and being like, oh, I wonder who that is.
I wonder if Mullin was like, if he would see, newspaper articles about what Kemper was doing and thought to himself, did I do that one?
Right, because one of them was schizophrenic, the other one was just fucking asshole.
A psychopath, yeah.
Yeah, but like at the same like, but wait. This is California, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this like where?
Beautiful Santa Cruz.
Okay, yeah. So I know right around that same time there was like 4 different dudes operating in the LA Hollywood fucking like the Hillside Strangler and fucking there was like 4 of 4
well, like
or 5
I said
of them.
in our little by the way, there we have a little thing going on right now. If you can tell us the specific thing that links there's 2 very specific things other than time and place that link together Edmund Kemper, John Linley Frazier, and Herbert Mullin. There are 2 very specific things that are not the fact that they were killing people in Santa Cruz in the 70s. That everyone knows. If you can tell us what that is at see no hear no speak no pod at gmail.com or
SNHNSNPOD as in Dizzle for you nizzles at gmail.com.
if you
And
can,
you may get a dick pic.
no, that's not what we're doing.
What?
We talked
That's
about
what I'm
that.
doing.
I don't think it's okay to just send unsolicited dick pics, Chris.
What, you want them to buy them first?
Yeah, I would appreciate if they bought them, yes.
Oh, okay. Alright, well, I mean,
Can't just
that's what the Patreon...
Can't just be giving it away for free and shit. But no, if you can tell us the very specific one or both of the super fucking things that connect all 3 of these guys, you will win a signed original fucking my hand drew this with a pencil fucking drawing of our original logo, the one that was used to fucking do the goddamn logo that we don't even use anymore, but I still think it's neat. So let us know. But
it's history.
So she knew what was happening with that. She knew that girls were coming up headless and raped all over the fucking place. But when this kind of good looking and kind of small dude fucking pulls up in his 58 Chevy station wagon, she felt a little better. I guess she would think that this little doe-eyed little young dude behind the wheel didn't look like a monster that could fucking hurt her,
Like fucking 6'9", mongoloid fucking Kemper.
Exactly, who was still a super pleasant dude, which is so fucking weird. But with her in the car and she's relaxed and he's driving her supposedly to where she wants to go, he then pulls off into a little quiet side street and he pulls out his hunting knife and stabs her in the chest and in the back. She died pretty much instantly, and her body wouldn't be found for quite a while. After dragging her body into a little deserted, safe little spot off of this little hillside road he was on, he opened her up and he started to unravel her organs. He had thought forever that he could see inside people's heads, but now he wanted to actually see inside their body. And he doesn't really say a whole lot about what happens here because it's thought that he was kind of fucking grossed out by this because it's the only time that he ever did this dissection or autopsy on someone that he kills. So
well, at least he didn't go all Richard Chase with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you never go full Richard Chase.
No.
So we now God, we step over that line to
dude. Real quick, I think we have shot out like at least 4 good T-shirt ideas for this show in this one episode alone. Like, I would totally sport a shirt that says "You never go full Richard Chase."
So would I, Chris. So would I.
I know there's been a couple other ones too.
I'll have to work on some art. Well, we'll get something cool figured out. So now we go to his third victim. On November 2nd, which was All Souls Day, one of the holiest days in all of Catholicdom. That's right, Catholics are dumb.
For the Mexicanos, and November 3rd. Oh, is it 2nd? No, it's 3rd, I believe. Also for Haitian Voodoo. Continue.
Huh. You know, that's quite the coinky-dink, I think. Methinks. Yeah. So, on this holy of holy days, Mullin stumbles into a church in Los Gatos, which is Spanish for the Catos.
Is it now?
You know, that joke killed in the test that we did today, and
the focus group loved it.
And you just stepping over it like that is just, it's hurtful, is what it is.
I needed someplace to rest my balls.
Oh. He had been drinking, and he decided to go to St. Mary's Catholic Church to, I quote, "give me strength to never attempt to kill again."
Okay.
I will say that he later claims that he carried his hunting knife into the church to protect himself.
Just in case God decided to strike him, huh?
I mean, you never know when some robbers are going to jump out from behind the giant, really bumming you out crucifix and be like, "Give us all your money," you know?
Or when your dads will telepathically fucking beam into your noodle and tell you to, you know, fucking
be a man and kill someone already.
Rape the fucking priest.
So, when entering, Mullin had thought that the church was empty. But then he heard one Father Henry Tomei in one of the confessional booths. So
he was kicking it with Jesus.
So Herbie had decided, and I quote, "Well, if you," meaning the priest, "are in here, I guess I should kill you." So he then tried to force the confessional door open. The priest, hearing the commotion, decides to open the door and see what's going on, and that's when Mullin attacked him with his hunting knife, stabbing him in the heart as he struggled, trapped in the tiny confines of the confessional.
He broke the number one commandment in the house of the Lord, did he?
I thought
bold.
I thought the number one was that you're not supposed to want to fuck your neighbor's wife or something.
No, coveting is not number one. Number one is thou shalt not kill, isn't it? I could have sworn.
I think that was later added by Hallmark just to sell cards, whatever. So while this is happening, there was a parishioner that walked in here in, you know, this fucking struggle, and she screamed and fucking ran out, and all she caught was a slight glimpse of a young man dressed in black who was fighting with the priest, and that's it. So when this happens and this priest's body's found and the news starts coming out and everything, the community was fucking angry by this senseless murder of a 65-year-old priest who was, by the way, also a well-known hero in the French resistance movement in World War II.
Oh, shit.
And since this was such a senseless killing in this house of the Lord...
Immortalized in the house of the Lord.
That's right. A lot of locals and such started, you know, theorizing that maybe this is the work of a satanic cult, which...
Oh, Satan. It must be Satan.
It's the 70s, man. Everything is
Lord Satan. Jesus.
So, you know, all of the community leaders and things like that attended his funeral, and so did many, 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 many police officers hoping to catch a glimpse of this man dressed in black. But Herbie did not return. he didn't go to the fucking funeral. He did, however, leave fingerprints there.
Oh. Did he masturbate?
I mean, I did. The fact that Mullin's third victim is a Catholic priest fits in with his hatred toward organized religion. Well, religion itself was fine with Mullin as long as it was his own fucking crazy one. Sometime in 1970, he disrupted a Sunday morning.
That's how I am.
Yeah, I know. I know you are. You won't fucking shut up about it.
You, sir, will not convert. So, we'll see who's going to win this one in the long run.
Oh,
motherfucker, you.
It's certainly not going to be me. In 1970, he disrupted a Sunday morning church service in a Catholic church, telling the congregation there that, and I quote, "What you are doing is wrong."
Right.
He then offered his own philosophy as an alternative, but he was physically removed before he could, make any converts out of any of the. No one followed him out because he's.
No, that's not very Christian-like. They should have let him go out like Jerry Maguire. Instead, they fucking bounced his ass. Huh?
Who's coming with me, man?
Yeah. It's not very fucking Christian.
He also once had tried to persuade his fellow mental patients at one of the psychiatric hospitals he was in let's see, San Luis Obispo. I should have left
California,
that. I should have just left that part out. Should have just left that part out. But that he tried to get them to help him change, and I quote, "the spiritual nature of the world." And of course, like we said in the last episode, when he was living in San Francisco, he would terrify his roommate by having screaming matches with God. But what's funny about all this is his right out hatred of religion would very often flip into a full on yay Catholicism. He would carry around a Bible, talked about becoming a priest, and his mom later was fucking super shocked by his murder of the priest because she said he'd been a deeply religious child. Altar boy in the Catholic religion, which might, maybe we got a little something that we don't know what's the something in a thing,
Diddlies?
Maybe,
I wonder...
Maybe diddling, yeah, maybe.
I wonder how fucking, ecstatic or let's say relieved that roommate was when he later found out, once he finally got busted and everything, and the roommate saw the news or the paper or whatever.
Indeed.
It's holy shit.
Yeah, he's thinking, oh
Dude,
man,
that motherfucker was crazy.
I had the worst roommate. He would sit there and he would scream at God and stuff, and oh man, I wonder whatever happened to that guy. And then holy shit, wow, serial killer, huh? Well, those screaming matches not so bad anymore, are they?
Made it out easy.
Knowing humans, he still probably bitched about him. It was like, you wouldn't believe what I had to live with.
Seriously.
So when he killed Father Tomei, he seems to have he struck pretty close to what his core problems were, which were his own very stern Roman Catholic dad. Father Tomei's murder really kind of got to him a lot more than any of his other victims. According to his psychiatrist Donald Lund, in his typical pattern of kill and make up, Mullin now wanted to make up with his father. He wanted to appease his father. So he tried to follow in his footsteps by joining the armed forces. The military seemed like the ideal solution. He could indulge his violent urges and kill people, but he could do it with the full backing and blessing of the state. So, he wanted to be a state-sanctioned salaryman fucking killer. He wanted to...
that's not cliche.
He wanted to not only be appreciated for getting to murder people, but to get paid for it. So in November,
Hey, I mean,
yeah,
you gotta find your niche, you know.
I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Usually that means masturbating for me, but I mean, if killing people is your thing, you know.
Man, if only you could get paid for that. In November, he applied to join the Coast Guard, but then he was in December he was denied after failing the psychological exam. He then lapsed deep into his paranoia that it was all just a conspiracy against him. The hippies, the war resistors, they were to blame. They had brainwashed him by giving him these drugs, and they had talked him into being a conscientious objector.
See,
so now the voices. Yeah.
If it wasn't for the schizophrenia, I would be more pissed at this person for this kind of 180 flip-floppery. But, you know, there are plenty of people that do this type of thing and fucking have no schizophrenia to blame or fall back on.
Right, they're just self-centered pricks, yeah.
Fucking ridiculousness. Like,
right.
God damn it, man.
And he does fully sound like that too. He's like, this couldn't be my fault. This has to be the psychic messages that my father are sending people to not play with me. You know?
Nah, like, I meant more so along the lines of, like, you know, you did stuff and this is how you actually felt at that time. So you did what you did, and then later on, you fucking feel bad about it, so you blame everybody else for putting you in those situations when you're just a fucking douchebag. You know, so, like, doing drugs or, like, fucking, you know, protesting or whatever the fuck the kids were doing back in those days. You did it. You were 100% gung-ho about that shit, you fucking prick.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
You know, usually nowadays, it's the people that fucking are, like, born again, and now they're like, oh my god, everything you're doing, or, you know, everything, blah, 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 is evil, and, you know, those guys I hate more than anything, but still, this whole hypocritic fucking flip-floppery just upsets me.
Hypocritic flip-floppery. That I need on a bumper sticker ASAP.
Continue.
So,
MC Trismegistus in the house.
Mm-hmm.
By the way.
Dropping mics all over the place. Fucking butterfingers. Yeah. So, now the voices were back, and they were fucking back with a vengeance, and they needed a sacrifice. So this time, after being turned down by the Coast Guard, he was going to go after the people who actively ruined his life, who were, and I quote this, the peace advocates and flower children had played tricks on my mind, and I had to reap vengeance.
Fuck yeah.
So he
yeah, how about you shave them all first? Just to humiliate them.
How about you just make them take a bath? That's like killing them. You just say, hey, all you hippies, get in this tub, and here's some soap and some shampoo and some scissors and some razors. Look like normal people, and, you know, stop it already. Just fucking stop. No one likes you.
I expect you to be.
So he targets his longtime friend and fellow drug user, who goes by the name of John Hooper, and he brought his hunting knife to John's house. But when he gets there, there were 9 other people there.
Yeah.
So
John got people.
That's right. John is a somewhat either well liked or had good drugs. Yeah. So Mullin finally realized that it might be time to upgrade his method of killing instead of the knife. So he went and he bought a gun. At the gun shop, he gave his occupation as a sketch artist.
Oh.
Which, technically not a lie. I mean, he's sketchy as fuck. He's so sketchy that I would say he has
turned it into an art form.
I'm gonna need this AR-15 so that I can like have a good representation of what I would wish to draw.
That's right. It's not even for protection. I do need the drum clip though, with all the ammo that you can sell me.
That's right.
I need to draw this.
That's right.
And of course, he got the gun by lying about all of his stints in psychiatric hospitals. And
there's no way to check that shit back in that day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were, but then for some reason,
Plenty.
he decides to hold off a little while on his murder spree of the flower children. Instead, he then applies to the Marine Corps.
Oh, that fucking genius!
He
should have gone after the DMV instead.
Well, no, he went to get a job there, not to murder them.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's totally different.
It's less exciting, but it's still
froggy.
really good. The recruiting sergeant was shockingly, sarcastically said, reluctant. But after Mullins had kept badgering him and fucking bugging him, he did finally recommend him for service. He wrote in his official report, Herbert William Mullin is an intelligent and highly motivated young man with an ultra-zealous eagerness to enlist in the U.S. Marine Corps. Because of Herb's honest desire to improve his lot and climb above his peers, as it were, I submit that Herbert William Mullin can and most likely will be a benefit to whichever unit he's assigned and a credit to his corps.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like a serious letter of fucking recommendation there. Mullin was super fucking excited that he had been accepted, and now he had a purpose. He had a mission, right? And then on January 15th, 1973, he passed both the physical and psychiatric exams for the Marines. But they needed him to sign a document, and all this document said was that he acknowledges his arrest record. Just that, everything's still fine. We just need you to say, yes, I know that you know that I did these things, and sign your name.
Right.
That's it. Well, he refused. So he was dismissed. The second that they said, you passed the psychiatric exam, if the next thing that he had to do was suck every dick on the planet, he should have just done it, because he passed the hard part.
Right. Big time, the hard part.
God damn. So he said, I'm not doing it, and so they said, well, then you fucking can't stay here. So he was predictably a bit devastated by this, and he rationalized it, I suppose, by denouncing his parents for their failures in raising him. Not him and his choices and actions, but the way that they raised him. But by this time, his parents had had fucking enough of Herb and told him that he had to move out of their house. So on January 19th, Herb Mullin found a shabby apartment near the beach where he sat all alone, where his resentments really start fucking festering, and the voices in his brain that are urging him to kill get louder and louder. He decides to kill, and I quote from him, the most important peace advocate. And this person was, who we spoke about last episode,
Glenda the Good Witch?
Jim Guynera, his high school pot dealer.
Dumbass.
The title
So
of the title of this next murder I made, Who's Hip Now, Motherfucker? So in his weird diseased brain, he fully believed that Jim Guynera represented everything that had fucked his life up. Guynera had given him the drugs that caused his brain to malfunction, He had told him about the peace movement, which made all of society hate him, and he even tricked him out of buying land.
Okay.
Mullin, being alone in this house, decided that Guynara had intentionally duped him to fuck his life over, So on January 25th, 1973, Mullin drove to a shanty area that's hidden away in the mountains on a muddy road near the famous mystery spot, which, of course, is a popular Santa Cruz tourist trap.
I'm sure it is.
So he's just standing out there, just getting soaked by the rain, and he waited for a lady named Kathy Francis to finally come to the door of the wooden shack that she shared with her husband, Bob, who was out at the time, and her two children, 9-year-old David and 4-year-old Damon. When Mullin asked to see Jim, Kathy told him that Jim and his wife had moved to Western Avenue, which was further out in town. Mullin thanked her, and he left. And he made his way to Western Avenue to see Jim. And when Jim Guynara let the casual acquaintance that he kinda knew from selling pot to into his house, Mullin then cried, "You're claptrapping me!" And
the fuck does that mean?
I don't rightly know for sure, Chris. I don't rightly know, and I don't know why you expect me to rightly know.
There's got to be a reason for it, but it's not coming to me right now.
So he shot Jim as he tried to escape. Jim's wounded, and he ends up dragging himself upstairs where his wife was taking a bath, because if I gotta go down, you're going down with me.
Shit.
So Mullin followed him up the stairs, and he shot them both in the head. And then with his hunting knife, he stabbed both of them to the point of just far past overkill.
Damn.
The Guynaras would be discovered later that day by Joan's mom, who was babysitting their infant daughter.
It sucks.
And then what follows that is a decision that is almost seems logical and or intentional. Like, if you had done something stupid, you would do this to fix it. He goes back to the Mystery Spot Road house and knocks on the door, and Kathy Francis answers. She was a potential witness, fucking someone was here asking for him, and this is what he looked like and such,
Right.
And he was terrified of going to jail. Now, like, he knew the fucked up shit he was doing was not legal, but he thought he had to do it. But he was still terrified of going to jail. So he parks his station wagon down the road so it wouldn't get stuck in the mud, because, like I said, it was raining like shit. And then he shoved the cabin door open and just starts fucking shooting. He shoots Kathy in the chest and head, and then he killed her two boys as they played Chinese checkers on their bunk bed. Then in a rage, he stabbed all three, even though they were obviously already dead. But to the local authorities, this fucking massacre looked like what they called a drug burn. It looked like both Bob Francis, who was Kathy's husband that was out, and Jim Guynara were fucking known pot dealers. And after Bob Francis was found and cleared as a suspect, the cops asked him to come up with a list of anybody that they could fucking look at. And he came out with a super long list of drug dealers, rivals, fucking, misfits and creeps and shit. But Herb Mullin wasn't anywhere on this list. In fact,
because he was a random nutbar.
Yeah. Well, the last time that Jim Guynara had even seen Mullin was in the summer of 71, so 2 years earlier. And in this visit, Mullin had done 10 hits of acid.
Jeez.
That's a lot.
God damn, especially for back in the day, acid.
That's what Melissa said, especially for back in the day acid. And then a few months after that, Mullin had sent Guynera a letter in the mail asking him who he was going to vote for in the upcoming November elections. And Jim and Bob just had a good laugh at it and didn't fucking have a second thought about fucking Herb at all.
Wow.
So, like I said, during this time, this is when Edmund Kemper was out being a monster. This is the same time period where John Linley Frazier fucking wiped out the Yoda family and a secretary. So female hitchhikers begin vanishing in April of 72. Some had
by the bushel.
Some had been by the bushel. Some had been found decapitated. We know who was responsible for those. And on February 5th, 1973, Alice Liu and Rosalind Thorpe disappeared. We remember those two. The next day, a 79-year-old widow was found raped and strangled to death in her bathtub. And before the month was over, another 6 victims would eventually be discovered. And like hitchhikers, even if not being murdered, were being raped in mass, basically.
Sweet.
So a few days after the Liu and Thorpe disappearances, Guilfoyles, right? Guilfoyle. Chris?
What? What about
it? That's the name, right? Guilfoyle?
Guilfoyle, yes.
All right. Guilfoyle.
I didn't realize that was a question.
Yeah, it's a weird spelling. Her skeleton was discovered a few days after Liu and Thorpe's disappearance on February 11th.
That poor broad.
Earlier, Cynthia Shaw's body parts had been found strewn along the coast, and Marianne Pesce's head was discovered in the Loma Prieta Mountains.
God damn, California was active.
And the fucked up thing is still college women continued to hitchhike, insisting that it was a lifestyle, man.
A lifestyle to be fucking broke. Yeah, it is. It is a lifestyle to be fucking broke. You're right about that.
Jesus. So now,
but being dumb and broke is a choice.
So now we transfer all magic type to Henry Cowell State Park, where the Card brothers had built a temporary campsite out of plastic sheets and spare wood. They were pretty far out from the Rangers' route because
they were playing fort?
They were playing fort and house, and they were trying to live there. They chose a spot called the Garden of Eden, and on February 10th, the 4 teenagers who lived in it, they weren't gonna anymore.
Hey, chihuahuas.
Mullin had discovered this little illegal campsite when he was just wandering around the woods, like one does.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 boys, who were Brian Scott Card, David Oliker, Rober Spector, and Mark Deribilibus. Fuck me.
That is not a cool last name like the other kids was.
Okay, and the third guy is Robber, R-O-B-E-R.
Robert.
That's his first name. No, there's no accent. That's Robber.
Robber
Spector.
That's lazy.
Spector Robber.
That is.
And
Spector's a cool last name.
Let's see if we can figure out this last guy's last name. Dreibelbis. Drebelbis. Anyway.
Yeah, that's not cool.
They had they were open arms, invited Mullin in to I guess chill and shit. But Mullin wasn't really gonna have that. He instead had demanded that the boys pack their fucking shit up and leave because they were defacing government property. And really, why he was so angry was that, remember in the last episode when we talked about how Mullin was kind of hassled by the state park guy, and when he was reaching for his fucking his knife, so on and so forth. So he's like, I don't think it's fair that these teenagers can do this shit and I can't, you know?
Oh, fucking twat.
So the boys seeing this angry little man just they laughed at him. Because fuck you, dude. But as they argued with him, Mullin later said, I decided to kill him and asked them telepathically if I could. They all answered yes. They were all in a sitting position, and it was all over in a few seconds.
Wow. Fucking wow.
Oh, man. God
This
damn
guy.
it. He meant it literally that they asked for it, but prosecutors later took it as proof of his hatred for, renegade campers, hippies, flower children, basically deviants of the counterculture in general. Had he ever really asked for the victim's permission, I'm guessing not a whole lot of people would be like, yeah, I could do that, yeah. I don't have anything to do tomorrow, so, yeah, go for it.
It's Nutty Bar.
This scene of absolute fucking carnage was discovered a week later by the brother of one of the victims. One of the teenagers was shot trying to claw his way through the plastic walls to escape. They were trapped, and he viciously shot them one by one. And when he was finished, he took their rifle and $20. Because, when you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, for his troubles and stuff, I guess.
God damn it. So,
This guy was no slouch, I guess.
we now get to what will be the final murder in this odyssey that I have taken you all on. The title of this murder is One More Time, and then in parentheses, I didn't know how much I loved you.
Gross.
One more time, I didn't know how much I love you.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
baby,
you're
that
talking
joke was
about,
for
but
you.
It sounds nasty.
Thanks for paying attention to that joke, baby, and giving me kind of a smile. On February 12th, trap shooters had finally found Mary Guilfoyle's remains. And again, the police are like, please, stop hitchhiking. Stop it. Stop it. It's like playing Russian roulette. Stop getting in strangers' cars. But, even though hopefully someone was listening to that, it wouldn't help. It wouldn't help the person that meets Mr. Mullin the very next day.
The very next day?
The day after they find Mary Guilfoyle's remains. Yeah.
Okay.
So, on February 13th, Mullin had been planning to bring some firewood to his parents' house, but on his way there, a telepathic message came from his father, which said, and I quote, "Don't deliver a stick of wood until you kill somebody."
He's like fucking Zordon with the goddamn
fucking
Power Rangers.
It is crazy. The voice suggested Uncle Enos, but when Herb resisted, the voice wasn't as particular and said, just kill somebody. I mean, anybody, really. Just fucking kill somebody. I don't know who Uncle Enos is, but he is the luckiest man with the coolest name I've ever heard.
He is very lucky, like that roommate.
Yeah. Oh my god. And he didn't even have to listen to him screaming at God.
Right?
So Mullin is driving his car, and he passes by Fred Perez. Fred Perez is working out in his driveway in his his little garden outside. It's kind of foggy out in the morning, and Mullin calmly pulls his car over, gets out with his rifle. he steadies the rifle on the hood of his car, and he shoots the retired prize fighter once in the heart, and he dies instantly.
Damn.
So,
from a distance, I assume?
Mullin calmly picks up his rifle, gets back in his car, he sits quietly for a second, and this wasn't just his rifle, it was the rifle he had taken from the campsite a few days earlier.
Right.
He then backed up and slowly drove away.
Damn. Well,
so,
that happens.
So the funny thing is, you know, if the camper massacre was his getting back at the hippies, the flower children, his 13th and final victim was, oddly enough, someone who he really kind of wanted to be. He goes on to say he was someone I respected, although he didn't know him at all. He had zero explanation for why he stopped to shoot Perez. The prosecution in his trial would later argue that it was a come catch me crime, and that he was ready to call it quits, and he wanted to be caught. But this time there were witnesses. Neighbors heard the shot and caught a glimpse of his car. He was headed toward Felton, his Chevy station wagon filled with the firewood for his parents' house, with the rifle in the front seat covered by a paper bag. A cop pulled him over, completely alone without backup, and arrested him. Mullin didn't resist at all.
But he wouldn't speak a word about what he had done, either. This is where my recording cuts off, because yay podcasting. So, I will now turn it over to the illustrious Chris Trismegistus to send us off, and only the bumbling just take it away, Chris.
Okay then. Well, I guess I get to give the outro now. My moment to shine like a polished turd. Oh, I'm gonna milk you for all you're worth, because I know you hate your nipples being played with, you fucking silly hooker. In any case, yeah, so fuck you guys, but I love you guys, and Jason's an asshole, and pretty soon I'm going to try to get something down, because it's time for another weird episode, or an episode about something weird. So I'm gonna try to work something out. But until then, you guys can just fucking wait and join us in the meantime continually for more exciting, riveting, as Jason used to say, that he doesn't say anymore, and sometimes squishy episode of Jeff's Mama's See No, Hear No, Speak No. I said Jason's part 2. The UFOs, the conspiracies, and the murders. Countdown. 3, 2, 1. Stop.
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, oh, no one remembers your name. What is it? When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange.
Did you say chicken teats on a sandy beach? That's a little strange, don't you think? What do you... I mean, not nude ones, no. Absolutely not.